Hello, lovers of Africa. What if our ancestors could speak through our children? What if we could see the past demonstrated before our eyes? This is not just a play. It is our essence. It is our identity. A bold, colorful, powerful performance by the CCAF Teens and the students of Blooming Lights College that calls you to remember, to feel, to rise. They danced, they cried, they told stories we should have known about Africa's strength, its pain, its pride. For the elders, remember. For the vibrant young Africans, be ready to build. For the children whose eyes are opening, this is your story. The story of kings and queens, of dreams stolen and dreams reclaimed, of rhythms that never die. Stay with us. Watch till the end. Let your spirit dance. Let your mind awaken. Because this is the awakening.
I am black. Black I was born, and black I will always be. I am a masterpiece of my creator. I am an African king. My black skin is the symbol of strength, greatness, life, and radiance sourced from the African soil. I am an African king. My black skin is glorious. My black skin is my heritage. Do not mistake it for weakness. It is my heritage. It is my Africa.
I am an African king. My heart is Africa.
Africa, with soil so rich and bold, like a painting on canvas, with so many stories and truths untold. Or should I say, suppressed? From savannas wide to jungles deep, her soil whispers secrets, ancient and asleep. In Africa's earth, history is laid. I am an African king. Who are you? Who are you?
We live in a world where history is often reduced to a series of dates, events, and figures. Historical consciousness is more than just memorizing facts. It's about understanding the complexities, the nuances, and the contexts that shape our world. It is about recognizing that history is not just something that happened in the past, but something that continues to shape our present and future. It is about understanding that the systems of oppression, the structures of inequality, and the injustices that we see today are not new, but are rather the legacy of a long history of colonization, slavery, marginalization, and a distortion of our past, preventing us from really knowing who we are. And what about human justice? Human justice is not just about punishing those who have done wrong. It's not even about providing compensation for the havoc released on our continent or to those who were wounded. I mean, can anything truly compensate for the pain inflicted on our continent? Can anything compensate for the brutal killings of our forefathers, our ancestors? The over 400 years of slavery when they were bound in shackles and their souls confined? Oh, I hear in my mind the whip scroll crack. I see in my mind the stain of their bitter tears. Against their rails they were carted away. The auction blocks? A dehumanizing stage of ridicule. They were reduced to commodities. Oh, what a tragic age. Oh, I hear the sorrowful noise of the Middle Passage. A journey of despair. Conditions inhuman. Hope beyond repair. I hear the screams of the oppressed. I feel the silence of pain and the echoes of suffering forever remain in history. Can anything truly compensate for the pain inflicted on our forefathers? They were called slaves! Slaves! Men, women, children, young and old. They had families and loved ones and were reduced to mere slaves? Can anything truly compensate for that? And our colonized minds? The colonized world you and I know and were born into? Can anything compensate for all that? For the deaths, the pains, the brutality, the tears, the hurt, the humiliation suffered? Do you even know or understand the gravity of all this? Do you? Who are you? This is a fundamental question you need to ask yourself.
I am Africa. My skin, a rich velvety brown, like the fertile soil that nourishes the town. My eyes, bright stars shining like the night, guiding me through the darkness of plight. My hair, a wild tangle of curly locks, like the savannas where the lions take their knocks. My figure, a majestic hourglass shape, like the pyramids that stand tall and never fade. My spirit, a fierce Amazon's cry, like the roar of a lion that echoes in the sky. My heart, a generous, loving, and welcoming soul that beats with kindness and love for her saints. My children are my love and my treasures so rare. They are my gifts that I adore, like beautiful beads beaming brightly. My children, beaten, enslaved even in their minds till date. They proudly wear a distorted mindset of understanding of their roots, running after cultures and ideologies that once fed at my feet. But little do they know, they lack knowledge of their greatness and have failed to see they are kings and queens. Their minds are bound tight by chains unseen, colonial thoughts, a legacy kin. Self-doubt creeps in like a thief in the night, stealing their pride and diminishing their light. Come, draw closer and bask in knowledge and consciousness of who you are. The closer you draw to me, the more you'll understand who you are.
Every human being has inherent dignity and worth. Human justice is about creating a world that is just, equitable, and free. It's about recognizing that every human being deserves to be treated with respect, with kindness, and with compassion.
But human justice isn't just about individual actions.
No, it's also about systems, structures, and institutions. It's about recognizing that the injustices we see today are not just the result of individual prejudices or biases, but are rather the results of systemic inequalities, structural injustices, and institutionalized oppression.
So, what does this mean for all of us?
It means we have a responsibility to understand our history, to recognize the power of dynamics that shape our world, and to work towards creating a more just, equitable, and free society. It also means we have a full consciousness of our history and the injustices of the past.
Africa's complex and tumultuous past has led to numerous instances of injustice.
Patrice Lumumba, the first democratically elected Prime Minister of Congo. He was forced out of his position, rid of his authority, and eventually assassinated in the most inhuman way in January 1961. This was due to his anti-colonial stance and serious opposition to Western powers. This was a heinous act of political violence.
Thomas Sankara, a Burkinabe revolutionary and president. He was overthrown and assassinated in 1987 due to his socialist policies and opposition to French colonial rule.
What about Kwame Nkrumah? He was the first president of Ghana and was overthrown due to his socialist policies and Pan-Africanism.
Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, popularly known as MKO Abiola, a businessman, a philanthropist, a publisher, and a voice for the voiceless. He was denied the people's mandate in Nigeria's fairest election. The military under Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida not only annulled his victory, but they locked him away in solitary confinement for declaring himself president, and he eventually died in their custody under clouded circumstances on 7th July 1998. That was a big loss and a great injustice.
And Nelson Mandela, a South African anti-apartheid activist who was imprisoned for 27 years for fighting against apartheid. He was accused of treason and sabotage.
And Behanzin, the last king of Dahomey, now Benin Republic. Behanzin resisted French colonization. He died in exile in 1906. Mind you, the kingdom of Dahomey under Behanzin and other kings of Dahomey and even other African kingdoms had well-organized government structures before the invasion of Dahomey and other African kingdoms. The government of Dahomey had a centralized ruling system with a well-organized administrative system in a highly prosperous kingdom.
See, you exist in a reality where this history of the African past is either hidden or completely distorted. They made it seem like life, structure, and organization came to Africa only after colonization.
Not true at all. You see, Africa, before slavery, before colonization, had thriving kingdoms with well-organized systems in place, and there were so many inventions which modern day technology has made countless innovations from.
Wow! Wow! So my history is this beautiful? You know, when I was very little, I used to hear stories that in the past, our ancestors lived on trees.
Maybe what they meant is that our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, were the first to invent paper from papyrus from trees. So if they built pyramids centuries ago and they're still standing, why would they want to live on trees? Except they built tree houses for leisure. But no, our ancestors were great men and women who were busy creating and inventing so many things you see in the world today that they couldn't possibly have lived on trees. It was just a distortion of history.
Wow!
The injustice against our ancestors is a hard pill to swallow.
King Leopold's regime in the Congo Free State, now referred to as the Democratic Republic of Congo, was marked by forced labor, executions, mass killings, dehumanization, and other wicked atrocities.
You know, colonial authorities suppressed African languages and customs too. Some customs were even termed barbaric.
Yes. I guess that's why English is referred to as our national language in Nigeria. I always wondered why my native language, which is Yoruba, can't be the language of instruction, and same for other regions in Nigeria.
Well, there was a language shift and suppression, in fact. The colonial powers imposed their languages on us. English, French, Portuguese, Spanish were all adopted as the languages of education and commerce. In the process, the use of many African languages was discouraged or prohibited in official settings. This led to a decline in the use of African languages and a language shift, as many African countries to date shifted to adopting European languages as official languages. The effect? This limited the development of these African languages, including the creation of written forms, dictionaries, and grammars. It also led to lack of linguistic documentation and preservation. Some of you don't even understand or even speak native dialects. This has led to erasure and the loss of part of our cultural heritage. You know why? Because language is closely tied to culture and identity.
Many are not historically conscious about their roots, and the result is a loss of cultural heritage, including traditional knowledge, stories, and histories of great Africa, which indeed is the cradle of civilization.
Until date, speaking your native dialect in public places is sometimes termed as local or unconventional.
Even in Nigeria, the selfish reason behind Nigeria's amalgamation in 1914 was primarily driven by British colonial interests. They wanted to reduce administrative costs, improve economic exploitation of our resources, consolidate control, all to their interest and to our detriment. There is so much to learn. Even the African religion was demonized. Lots of our religious practices were termed evil or demonic. This led to a suppression or a decline of traditional practices, forced conversions to Christianity or Islam, and the erasure of African spiritual heritage. Whereas Eledumare created us fearfully and wonderfully, blessed us with a unique way of using natural things he created to heal, soothe pains, help others, and care for this beautiful continent and the world.
The suppression of our historical consciousness has obviously led to a disconnection with our past. As such, there is a distortion of historical narratives and an omission of the achievements and contributions of Africa to the world from centuries ago. This has ultimately contributed to a feeling of negative self-image among some Africans, which sometimes causes a feeling of inferiority complex and powerlessness. It has at the same time contributed to a high level of racism and discrimination till date, as Africans are not recognized as equal contributors to human civilization.
It's a lot actually. The removal of artifacts from Africa during the colonial era is a terrible injustice against Africa. Many of these artifacts, like the ancient Benin bronzes and the Rosetta Stone from ancient Egypt, were taken away without our consent. They were sold or traded unfairly, and today they are housed in museums like the British and American museums, including other European countries till date.
The European powers and brothers in crime now petition and colonize most of Africa. Imagine the so-called great powers, France, Spain, Germany, Portugal, and Britain, all sat on a round table with a drawn-up map of Africa at the center, and they divided our Africa amongst themselves. They then have to use brutal means and tactics to assert control, and they exploited Africa's natural resources to the advantage of the nations and to the detriment of our motherland.
Oh my goodness! Oriyamio! I feel lightheaded. This is too much.
You feel this way because you're becoming historically conscious, and you feel the injustice our forefathers endured. Now, most times people think that colonization had a positive impact on Africa and Africans, that it delivered us from barbarism and evil. Most of our history curriculum basically begins from the brutal slave trade era. A dark period in our history where millions of Africans were forcibly enslaved, dehumanized, and transported to the Americas for over 400 years. Our history began about 5000 BCE to 2000 AD. But the history you and I learn today is only what they want us to know and learn, which is just roughly over a few centuries ago. If you don't find out and understand the past, the true history of Africa, find out who the true heroes are, our generation will suffer a worse form of slavery. Mental slavery. It is happening already. Our minds and beliefs are colonized. This will draw us back as a continent faster than before, because though we are not forced, we will mentally continue to wear the chains of slavery round our necks.
But no!
No, I agree. It is time for the awakening. A historical consciousness of the injustices of the past is essential. However, though it causes pain, anger, resentment, these feelings will pass. It will eventually.
What this should do, and is meant to do, is to create an awakening within. Should Africa continue to be this way?
No!
No. Then why are we treating ourselves unjustly in all this? Why do brothers kill brothers, sisters hate and despise sisters? We by ourselves expose ourselves and our leaders? Our leaders have enslaved us. People are really hungry, dying. They work so hard and earn so little. Our leadership systems are all faulty and selfish. Why?
If we are the Gen Zs or the Millennials, it is time for mental freedom. What do we require? Yes, dig deep and know thyself.
Let us choose to be intentional about seeing ourselves as indestructible stars.
Know today that the light of wisdom lies within you.
And together we can make the positive change in understanding our culture, the economic and intellectual revival of Africa, which emphasizes our identity, self-determination, and development.
Yes, we demand repatriation of artifacts to their various countries of origin.
We demand an apology to Africa by the so-called world powers who mentally, physically, and emotionally battered our forefathers and the continent.
Africa's contributions to the world should be included officially in the history of Africa for the knowledge of all.
And then, we demand an awakening from each and every one of us. Africans need to apologize to each other. Africans need to rid themselves of corrupt practices and unhealthy prejudices. Our leaders need to treat their citizens with empathy. Let us exist not for our selfish reasons. Let us be for others and with others. This mental slavery has eaten deep, so Mama Africa is really a shadow of the beauty she spoke about earlier. The real Africa carries a glow of fun, radiance, beauty, abundance. A continent with great kings and queens whose heads are held high in pride of who they are.
You and I have a responsibility to challenge our own biases and prejudices and our own privileges. It is our right, and we shouldn't be denied what's ours.
Let us embark on this journey together. Let us recognize the power of historical consciousness and human justice to shape our world.
It is time for the awakening. Let us be the change we want to see. Let us be the ones to create a world that values her past. Use it to shape our present while forging ahead to a progressive and happier future, devoid of any form of slavery. It is time to be awakened.
Africa has spoken. The children have called. The drums have echoed. Will you rise? Will you remember? Will you be the change? Share this awakening. Live this awakening. Teach this awakening. Because Africa's tomorrow depends on what we do today. It's time to be awakened. I am Africa. Who are